Hi again. I've just started to watch the TV series Game of Thrones, and people have been telling me about it for a long time, how good it is. And I've just started to watch the series, and my brother's got the box set, so I went and got it off him, and I can see why people are raving about it. It's really good. The scenery. I remember being in Iceland, and they were doing Game of Thrones tours, and I remember thinking, "What's that?" And now I get it. I get why it's so big, why it's so popular. It's a really, if you haven't watched it, it's a really good program, and it is addictive. I think there's seven in the series. But anyway, I was watching it last night. Watched a couple of episodes of it last night, and it got me thinking. Afterwards, I was lying in bed and I was thinking, all the characters in that. How, first of all, how does somebody write something like that? J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. I was thinking, how do people come up with this? Their creativity, their minds must be incredible. I really admire them. And then I was looking at the characters in Games of Thrones, and there's some, I don't want to ruin it for people if you haven't seen it, but there's some really dodgy characters in that programme. But you know what I'm like, if you've been watching these clips, I always apply it to myself, apply it to life. And I got thinking, I wonder if this is like a bigger version of life, in that we've all got different parts of our personalities. And if we were brought up in different ways, could we be those, similar to those personalities? There's been lots of research done on Hitler, Germany. How did Adolf Hitler get all those German people, who I'm guessing most of whom were decent people, to behave in the way they did and do the atrocious things that they did? I know not all of them did, but, and I've always thought that if we were brought up in slightly different ways, would we be the same? And we've all got different parts of our personalities, which I found fascinating. And then I started to think, well, all these different, if you look at the programme Games of Thrones, someone's directing it, someone's producing it, someone's written it. So in our lives, if that's a smaller version of us, which would be quite scary, who's directing us? Who's producing us? Who's writing that? You've talked about this before. Who's writing the story? Again, which I find really powerful. So you can change, if you're the director, you can direct how it goes. You can write the story. You can change how it goes. So I found that really interesting. And also, it got me thinking about all the different parts of our personality, like I said. And on these sites, people have been talking about anger, for example. I've never met a human being yet that doesn't get angry. It's a part of who we are. People say to me that I'm quite a calm character, but if you ask my wife or my kids, they've seen me when I've been angry. What normally happens when we get angry, that I've noticed, is that then we start getting angry at ourselves for getting angry. Anxious people start getting anxious about getting anxious, and it becomes this never-ending cycle. So, if I get angry, because it's not something that I do that often, I go away and I get angry about getting angry, which if you think about it is ridiculous. So for me, a big part of this is accepting that I get angry, accepting all those different parts of me and relaxing with it. I've called this little clip chill out, relax, because, I remember when I took my driving test years ago, I remember getting in, I was really nervous. I'd had a few lessons. I got in the car. Driving instructor wasn't the most talkative person I'd ever met. It was actually quite cold. Didn't hardly say anything, didn't try to put you at ease or anything like that. And I remember starting off the test, and I can't remember what I did, but I know that I made a mistake. And I remember thinking to myself, I've failed already. A couple of minutes into the test, I've failed this. So what happened was, ironically, I relaxed because I thought I'd already failed. At the end of the test, I was expecting, as we pulled back into the driving school, I was expecting the driving instructor to say, look, sorry, Mr. Summers, but you did this and this right at the start of the test. Unfortunately, you've failed. I couldn't believe it when they turned around and went, you've passed. So afterwards, when I thought about it, I realised what had happened is because I thought I'd failed, I relaxed and I passed. So there was a real lesson for me there about almost not trying too hard, not trying to be something that I'm not, accepting that I'll get angry, accepting that I'll get scared sometimes. It's okay. Don't try and be this perfect picture that society tells you that you should be. The pictures that we see all people all over Facebook, you know, trying to put pictures out there of how beautiful they are. Well, if you're beautiful, why do you need to put it all over Facebook? Why are you telling everybody? You know, men in particular, you go in gyms, you know, the martial arts, and people trying to tell you how tough they are. You know, if you're tough, why are you telling everybody how tough you are? You don't need to do that. You know, lessons for me, loads of lessons for me along the same lines. I remember going for my first ever black belt in Shotokan Karate. And kicking was never my forte. You know, I've got tight hamstrings, I'm not very supple, but to pass the black belt, I had to be able to do high kicks. I had to be able to kick to the head, which I'd never been able to do. And I remember getting a friend of mine who did Taekwondo and just saying to him, look, you need to help me with my kicks here. And we spent hours and hours of just doing high kicks, which I really struggled with. And he kept saying to me, Tony, just relax, relax. And one day it clicked for me. One day I went in. It took a while. It took a few hours of training. One day I went in and I just relaxed. And the next thing, I'm kicking him in the head. And it's like, not literally, he had pads there. But, you know, all of a sudden, just by relaxing, I was able to get, not trying to force it, just relaxing, I could do it by not trying too hard. The same when I was punching. I remember I used to watch Jeff Thompson punch. He was my instructor and he had a unique way of punching. It's really hard to explain. But he used to generate a lot of power with it. And I remember, you know, me and Jeff used to train together. We'd do, you know, get together and just do some grappling or some training, one-to-one stuff with each other. And I remember him saying to me, you just need to relax, Tony. And one day, again, same thing happened. One day I came in and I just relaxed my punch. My whole arm was relaxed and I just flicked the arm out. And it was like, wow, the power was incredible. And again, it was not trying too hard. It was relaxing. So the message that I want to get across today is, you know, you do what you want. You know, if you work with me, you know, I'm not into fancy techniques, coaching techniques. Most of the people that I know that are into fancy techniques are pretty fucked up themselves, which I don't want to go into. You know, I work with a lot of business people as well that turn over millions and millions of pounds. They suffer, a lot of them suffer with anxiety, depression, consultants, doctors. But one of the things that I've realised is that, do you know what, we're all the same. You know, this image that society puts out there that we need to try and live up to and be successful and look a certain way and live a certain way and have a big house and a big car. You know, no, there's nothing wrong with any of that. If you want those things, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with having the nice things in life, but you'll get them by relaxing. As strange as it sounds, I've found that when I'm not trying so hard, I'm actually more successful. When I accept who I am, I accept that I get angry, I accept that I get scared, I accept that I have all these different thoughts, I accept that, you know, like some of the characters in Games of Thrones, I could be like them at times, which is, if you've seen it, it's scary. But that's okay, you know, that's okay. It's okay to be me. I like who I am, but I think I've got there and I'm really working on this as well, not trying too hard. So, like I said, chill out, relax, and you'll be surprised that you'll get what you want by not chasing after it. And I know that goes against all the grains and all the life, you know, the self-help stuff. But I'm just passing on what I've learnt here. Yeah, there's times to chase things, there's times to go for things, but there's also times to switch off and relax and almost let it come to you. You know, don't try so hard. And that's the message for today. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully speak to you soon. Take care.